Hello guys and welcome to the Film Box. On today's episode we're going to be going over the Thypoch 28mm 1.4 Chimera. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Anyways, this lens was sent out to me by Thypoch to try it out for 2 months. I don't get to keep it, so I'm not getting paid for the review either. The only thing I'll get out of this would be an affiliate link that you can use if you want to purchase this lens after this review. So if you do want to purchase this lens, use the link. It would be greatly appreciated, and I would thank you so much, in advance for your support. So let's start with the packaging, honestly, because I have to mention that the packaging is really nice. It's almost like you're opening up an Apple product, for the first time. So there is an experience to unboxing this lens. And for anybody that has purchased this lens before, you will notice that there's a difference between purchasing this lens compared to whenever you get any other lens that just comes in, styrofoam in a bag and inside a box. So kudos for them for going the extra mile to give that unbox experience to the consumer. Now, the pricing on this lens, it has two prices. So right now I have the M mount lens. I asked for the M mount specifically just so I can try it out both on the Sony A7rV and the Fujifilm XT5. So that way you can get an idea of how the lens performs on a crop sensor and on a full sensor. So pricing starts at $549, and that is if you get a specific mount. So like if you're getting the Canon mount, the Sony mount, or Nikon or Fuji X mount. Now, if you do get the one like I got right here, which is the M mount, you are paying extra, which comes in at $699. So there is more that you have to pay, but if you're like someone like me that likes to have the M mount lenses so that you can, interchange it between different bodies and systems, that's maybe where you get your money's worth. Let me go over the design, because the design is actually really nice, and there is some features I want to go over that you guys may like and may not like, and for some people it's kind of like a deal breaker. So let's go ahead and get started. The lens right here is pretty much made out of all metal, which I really like. So everything you're seeing about this lens feels really premium. You do have the cutout right here that goes to the viewfinder. So anytime you're using a rangefinder camera, you can see through it. That way you don't have the lens hood getting in the way. So the lens hood is metal. You do get a lens cap for the lens hood, and you get a lens cap for the lens alone, and the rear cap as well, which all of them are made out of metal. So that's really nice. So whenever you hold the lens, it really feels premium. There is some weight to it. And whenever you're gonna be focusing with this, because it's a manual only, like manual focus only, it feels really nice, very buttery smooth and everything. It does have a declickable aperture as well, and it's actually the button's pretty well hidden. I didn't know where it was at first. I had to look at somebody else's YouTube channel and see, because I had seen it on the spec sheet. They had the clickable aperture, but it's actually hidden underneath the lens on this little switch right here, which blends in with the whole design. You can click it and unclick it. So if you're somebody that likes to have unclick aperture, for example, for video work, this is a perfect little feature that you might like. I specifically use this one just for photos alone, so I didn't have much use for the clickable aperture, but it's right there if you need it. So another thing I want to mention about this lens that's really unique to it, it's the dots that it has here for the distance scale. So if you're somebody that uses the distance scale to focus, such as people that do street photography with like the Leica cameras, this comes in very handy. And I've never seen one like it where it has like these dots that kind of fill up with color whenever you're going back and forth with the aperture. So that's pretty neat that they have there, and I really enjoy that. Now, the other thing that it has that's probably less popular is that it has this infinity lock whenever you reach the infinity focus, and the focus ring just locks there, which it's kind of weird. I've never had a lens that does that, and I know some people have complained about it online, but it's there. But once you start using the lens after a little while, the way I hold the lens, I normally push that button anytime I'm focusing, so I've never had that issue. So let's go ahead and get started and show you how this pairs really well with the Fujifilm XT5. Now, the way that you pair this is really simple. You get your camera, and then you gotta have one of these, which is an adapter that you buy on Amazon. It costs about $12, since it's nothing fancy. It's just like a metal ring that goes in front of your camera. And what you do is just attach this, and then you attach your lens. So in this case, I'm using the Photosi or whatever, LM to FX mount, and that will allow me to mount my M mount lens to the Fujifilm XT5 without any issues. So I had the chance to use this lens and this camera shooting some photos of Bella, and this was my first photo shoot with this lens, and I really enjoyed it. Being this 28 millimeter on the XT5, it turns it into a 42 millimeter because you got to take in consideration the crop factor of 1.5. So whenever you do that, you're not gonna get the full 28, but it's still very nice because I think it's like it's not a 35 millimeter, but it's not a 50. It's right there in between, and it worked pretty well with her portraits. And I was able to get this really nice depth of field where you have a really good background separation between her and the background. So really enjoyed that, and I think I had a lot of fun using it. Just for the fact that a manual focus and then manual focusing with the XT5 is so simple, especially if you have like your command set up where you can like magnify, zoom to like check that your lens is, you know, perfectly in focus. So that was one of the times I got to use the XT5. And then I did a little bit more like, you know, street work where I just photographed, you know, just random things like I normally do. It just performs really well. The lens is very sharp, and even at 1.4, if you focus it just right, you're gonna get really nice sharp results, and hardly any like artifacts such as like vignette. It's like it's there, but it's not that bad. I actually enjoy it the way it looks, so no problems there. And then you don't get much of like chromatic aberrations either. So it's a premium lens and it takes beautiful images. So there's really no compromise there. Now, not gonna lie, I was very skeptical that I would enjoy using this lens with the Sony A7R5 just because I find it I don't find it as fun using my Sony camera when it comes to this kind of work, just, you know, for fun and things like that. So I usually gravitate to my Fuji cameras whenever I do things like that. But I really wanted to try out how it felt using the full 28 millimeter focal length at 1.4 because I've never really had a lens that has, you know, a 1.4 at that focal length. I've only used really 35 millimeter before, which had been my widest. And I gotta say, I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I liked this more than the XT5 when it came to shooting with it, just because of having that full 28 millimeter. I did take this lens with me to my trip to Colorado. My father-in-law helped me find interesting people to photograph. Our first stop was at Wayne's house. He showed me around his home as well as his garage, where he had some old photo work from back in the days when he used to try out photography just for fun.
Alright, look here and straight in the camera.
Gathering dust, but anyway.
That photo right there, he says it's called The Thinker. I thought that was creative of him. After photographing Wayne, I was taken to a small ranch where a Spaniard lives. My father-in-law, whose name is Ross, told me this man would be a really cool person to photograph, and I must say, he was so right. As soon as we greeted the Spaniard, whose name is actually Urbano, he showed us inside his home. Now let me talk about conditions being perfect for a portrait. His wood stove was clogged, so there was a lot of smoke inside of the home, which added this really nice haze to the images. I honestly could shoot photos all day at Urbano's ranch. There was just so many things to find and photograph. I did tell him I would be back in the summer for more photos. I really enjoyed it, honestly. I don't know what else to say other than that. I didn't think I was gonna enjoy using my Sony that much, so I was able to shoot, like I said, the portraits as well as, you know, people's yards and where they had like junk cars and things like that. And I had some really nice results. And you know, whoever said that Sony don't have good colors, they're lying, honestly. Honestly, I could show you some photos I've taken with the Sony and the Fujifilm, and you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference if I didn't tell you which camera was which. So it really comes down to the way you edit. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that, but it is what it is. It really just comes down to how well you can edit a photo. So there you have it, guys. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I've given you some insight on this lens if you were on the fence of whether to buy it or not. And like I said, it all comes down to what you want to use it for. So like if you want to pay more for the M mount and be able to like later on sell your camera and still be able to use this lens on your next camera, that's where, you know, the $699 might be worth it for you. But if you're somebody that only has one system and you know you stick to only one system only, then go ahead and save the money and just get the prop, you know, the mount that you need to use for that camera. So I thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions about any of these setups that I talked about today, feel free to leave it in the comments below and I'll get to your question. And I thank you so much. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.